But you look black, but you don't look black. Why don't you look all the way black?
Well, I want you to tell me what all the way black looks like. I want you to describe that first.
Like your daddy and your mama was black.
All right. Yes, my mom is white and my father is black. Yes, my father's Black American. So he was born in Pittsburgh, and then when I was growing up, he lived in Washington, D.C., so I have a lot of roots in Washington, D.C. Okay. But I was raised with my mother in Canada, and then I would kind of travel back and forth.
And so you were telling me before this, we started that did you live in Gary?
Yes.
You in Gary, Indiana, folks. Isn't that amazing? Your husband was born there, right? And you met him there.
My husband and I met at college.
Okay.
150 years ago,
yeah.
A different lifetime ago, and then we both reconnected as young adults, and so when we decided to marry, I moved to his home.
Right on.
He had a home in Gary.
Oh, I see.
And so
You
that's
moved
how
to
I ended
Gary.
up there. I moved to be with my
And what was
husband.
Gary like when you moved there, and what was it like when you left?
Gary is 25 miles from the south side of Chicago.
Right.
People from the south side of Chicago call Gary Scary Gary.
Yeah.
So you can get an idea of what Gary is
Yeah.
like. It's the hood. I wasn't unfamiliar with the hood. I have a lot of DC's, when I was growing up, basically the entire, we lived on Capitol Hill, and that Capitol Hill was the hood. It was not $5 million homes
That's
like
right.
it is now.
When I first moved to Gary back in 66, I think, 67, it was beautiful.
Yep.
It was controlled by white people. It was businesses everywhere. Little or no crime.
My husband's family was the first black family on their block.
Really?
Yeah.
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 I remember it used to be so nice.
Yep.
And then in 1967, I may be wrong, but 1967, they elected the first black mayor, Richard Hatchett, I believe his name was.
Jesse Lee, you want to know something?
What?
We re-elected him 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Or not 10 years ago, we re-elected him. And then, don't get me started on Richard Hatcher. My husband and I actually had some personal interactions with the first black mayor of Gary. And
amazing.
Not all black people are for you.
That's right.
Not all black people are for black people. And that's what happened to Gary.
Right.
Yeah.
The day after it was elected on a Tuesday, I believe, and that next morning, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
The black kids were fighting on the bus. They were fighting with the whites and the Mexicans. They were fighting in the classroom. They were fighting. Everything changed the very next day. And it just got worse from that point forward. I got out of Gary, Indiana. I went back to Alabama and finished high school down there because I had never dealt with that type of violence from blacks or anyone, really.
Yeah.
And so I went back to the cotton field and finished high school down in Alabama. But it just went to hell from that.
And it's never been better. My husband and I were, when we first started our lives together, we were upwardly mobile. We were making our way into the middle class, and except that the people that we've elected in Gary steal from their own people.
I heard about all that. My family, I still have family members there. They tell me that all the time.
They're thieves. Yeah, I got a first-hand education.
What's wrong with the blacks?
This is why I wanted to come on this show, because I wanted to hear you ask that question. I knew you were going to ask that question.
What's wrong with the blacks?
For a long time, I have been of the mind that it's our job to serve and to lift. And so I've always thought, well, what's wrong with black people? Well, it's sin, right? It's sin. Just the same thing that's wrong with everybody else.
Right, it definitely ain't.
But I don't know. I feel a little more conspiratorial about it as I get older. I think the last 4 years, my tinfoil hat has gotten pretty pointy. And, what's wrong with black people? A lot. I think all of it's on purpose.
It is.
Some of it's been...
It's set up to be that way.
It's worse than that it's set up to be that way. It's some of our own.
Yeah.
It's a lot of our own that are
Most
selling
of our
us
own
out.
that are doing that.
They're
Absolutely.
selling us out. I did a podcast last week. My podcast was on the stabbing of I'm sorry, let me turn this off.
The track guy.
Yes, the track and field, Carmelo Anthony,
Yes.
not the basketball player.
Right.
And I said, look, I find it disturbing that immediately after that stabbing, the first reaction of the black leaders was to come out and defend him, to come out and we're gonna rally around the family. We're gonna put up a fundraiser. By the way, I think they have every right. If they want to have a fundraiser, fine. You have it. I don't have to contribute to it. Fine.
Right.
But not a single black man, not a single black leader came out and said, young black men, this is not how we handle our problems.
Right.
This is not, we want to start with this. Yes, we're going to come alongside the family. We're going to walk with them and we're going to guide them through this very difficult time because clearly something's gone wrong in this family.
Absolutely.
That's what a good community would do. But we don't hold each other accountable.
Never.
We don't normalize. What I said was we need to normalize that.
Right.
What if the normal message we always come out with is racism? Well, this is probably someone else's fault, and it's definitely not our fault. It's definitely not your fault. We'll move forward from there. From everything will be based on that. But what if we normalized every time something like this happened?
It would be amazing.
What if LeBron James and Barack Obama, like the first thing they said was, young men, this is not who we are.
Right. When I was growing up, before the civil rights movement, which was a big mistake, by the way, for the blacks, black people would never tolerate that. They wouldn't say, oh, let's support this. This is the right thing. They would say, let this be an example for you. You take a knife to a track meet, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And don't be like that. They wouldn't even allow us to play with bad black kids.
Right. Right.
And if they knew the parents were no good, they will automatically know the kids were no good. So they would say, don't hang out with those kids because the parents are bad.
Right. Well, we don't even have
it
that
used to
anymore.
be that way. Right.
We don't even have that anymore, where
Yeah.
you can count on, even in my nice cushy, I mean, I don't live in the hood anymore. I live in the nice cushy suburbs. But in a lot of ways, that's even worse. At least in the hood, I could pop your child and nobody would look twice,
No one
you
would
know?
care, yeah.
But in the suburbs, it's like, no, you can't speak harshly to anyone else's child. We used to be able to correct each other. We used to be able to correct each other's children.
Absolutely. The blacks are getting worse. This generation is worse than the last generation and the last generation.
Do you think so?
Yeah. They are killing each other. They're
But do you think
robbing
it's in the same numbers? Because I think you're right. I think where it's worse. Like in the bad parts, it's worse.
Yeah.
But we also have more upwardly mobile black Americans these days than ever before.
What's that?
The black middle class is expanding. So where that used to be pretty limited, it's growing. We're not at parity with our peers, like our Asian or our white peers, but there's more of them. There's more of, I should say us. I would be one of them, middle class, but there's more.
They won't accept you. They're not going to accept you. You got too much white in you.
Oh, no.
What was it like?
No. You're wrong. You're wrong. See, I'm as black as the first black president, so
I thought
none of that matters anymore.
But let me ask, growing up as a white girl, black girl, was that difficult for you?
Yeah, I think times were way different then, right? These days, it feels like not that strange to see a biracial kid running around.
Yeah, it's different now.
Right, but when my parents were married, it was the 70s.
Yeah. And
as a matter of fact, there was one time where my parents were separated at the border because my mother was this blonde white Canadian woman and my father, and he was also a musician too. He had dreadlocks, bare feet, just the stereotypical dirty hippie. And they separated them, and when they had to separate, they had to leave each other at the border. And growing up in rural...
from Canada to America, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And growing up in rural Canada, it was very difficult. There's a lot of racial abuse. There's a high black population in Canada because that's where the Underground Railroad came out.
Yeah.
So we're very aware of that history, but I lived in a farming community. It was pretty brutal. And then when I would go to Washington, D.C. and be with my peers there, then I was not black enough, that would be, well, you sound strange, you don't look the same. So yeah, I guess it was difficult, but I think in the end it was, I have a very solid sense of identity these days.
Was forced integration good or bad?
Forced integration, like in the 60s, like in the civil rights.
When they start making the
Bad.
white people and the black people live together.
Bad. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Great. This is a perfect transition because we were just talking about my childhood experience.
Right.
All right. So when I was 13, I went to middle school in Washington, D.C. Stewart Hobson Middle School on Capitol Hill. It's right behind the Heritage Foundation, right? It's still there to this day. We lived right across the street. Well, Stewart Hobson Middle School was part of a group of schools on Capitol Hill called the Capitol Hill Cluster. And there was an experimental cluster of public schools because Washington, D.C. at that time, and still is known as the Chocolate City, is mostly black, mostly poor population. Somebody got the big idea that, well, if we just shipped in white rich kids, then we could integrate the schools. The schools would get better if we bust in white kids
Alabama too.
From the suburbs. So they asked for a lot of volunteers. Some white parents stepped up. The year I started school there was the year we began the busing program, and it was an absolute failure. The white kids in our schools were brutalized.
Yeah.
I often wonder where those kids ended up. I mean brutalized, where some kids were sent to the hospital because gangs would come into the school and pick them out and beat them up. And I will never forget, 13 years old, this is burned in my brain. For whatever reason, I was at a community forum. The school was right across from my house, so maybe I was bored and I went there. Lucy, I think her last name was Campbell, Lucy Campbell's mom, came in, and Lucy was the student council president, this little white girl that they had bussed in, and her mom was some hippie who was really proud to be a part of this busing program, and she came in and she said, I feel like a hypocrite and a bigot, but how can I send my child to this school anymore? She's being brutalized every day. I signed on for this program thinking I was doing something good, doing the right thing. And it's been nothing but heartache and abuse. I'll never forget that. So no, forced integration is a mistake because it's always a mistake, I believe, to work against the tribal instincts of people. Now, this is the glory of Christ, right? Yeah. This is the beauty of Christ, is that our tribe is eclectic and diverse because we gather under the flag of a king, not a race. Yeah. So that's what's amazing about Christianity, is that we so many different cultures can fall under one flag. But when you're talking about earthly tribalism, people can integrate. They do it well when they're able to do it in their own time and in their own way. We do it. Yeah. We do it just fine.
I believe had we never had forced integration, America would be greater than what it is now.
I totally agree. As a matter of fact, a great example of that is Las Vegas in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. A lot of people think we legislated our way out of the Civil Rights Movement. We absolutely did not. One of the biggest things that happened was commerce, the economy. So in Vegas, the performers like Ella Fitzgerald and Sammy Davis Jr. couldn't perform on certain stages or couldn't walk in the front door with the Rat Pack like Frank Sinatra. Right. Eventually, guys like Sinatra said, I'm not playing here anymore. If you guys don't clean this up, I want Sammy Davis Jr. to use the pool. You know, I want him to walk in the front door with me because he's a performer. That's when Vegas got on board. Right. That's when things started to shift. But my point is that these people at the top who tell us we only need this one more piece as a community and then we'll be good, that we'll have whatever it is, we need reparations or we need CRT, whatever the thing is, there's always somebody at the top, like an Oprah. LeBron James has been on my mind a lot lately, and I don't know why, but
what a mess.
Something's going on with him. But none of these people ever say, you know what? Here is my 10-step program to how I got from where you are, little black kids, to where I am today. I did it. You can do it. Step one, no, they never tell you. Do you know why? Because they got there by selling out the way you'll have to get there, by selling out, because the only way to get to the top is to sell out to somebody.
What a mess.
Yeah. So they're all sellouts. They can't tell you the truth, which is they sold out, but the worst part is they sold us out. Maybe. They didn't sell themselves out. They sold us out, and they're still selling us out every
All for the
day.
money.
All for the money. Or the women bully their way into even. Because but I'm being serious, right? Like it takes a strong man to say, no, this isn't your place.
Absolutely.
Or no, but we don't have enough of those men.
And God forbid, hopefully Donald Trump will be reelected again. Well, God forbid that he's not reelected again. There's no other man that can take his place to guide these women that he's put into leadership, like in the church or anywhere, really. There's no other man that can guide them in the right way. They're going to go out of control with Donald Trump and God. If you had a choice of a boss, would you prefer a man boss or a woman boss?
A man boss.
And why?
Oh, women are too petty.
I rest my case. I rest my case.
Yeah.
What the?